Welcome to the Barker Podcast Collection.
Something is coming. Something hungry for blood. What is it? The Demogorgon!
We're in deep shit.
Now we have to go. Later. See you tomorrow. Good night, ladies.
Kiss your mom night for me.
Will is missing. I don't know where he is.
99 out of 100 times kid goes missing, the kid is with a parent or a relative.
What about the other time?
What?
You said 99 out of 100. What about the other time? The one! The one!
Will! Will! Guys, I really think we should turn back.
Did you guys hear that? That's not Will. You're in trouble, aren't you?
We've sealed off this area.
This is where it came from?
Yes.
And the girl?
She can't have gone far. Find her.
Do you really think it was a coincidence that we found her at the same place where Will disappeared?
Something is going on here!
What the hell?
She knows about Will.
Is there any way that you could reach him?
Yes.
What if this whole time I've been looking for Will? I've been chasing after something else.
Welcome to the Not Watching Podcast. My name's Rob Howard, and this week I'm joined by
Ian Bruce and Marcus Hurley.
Okay, so Stranger Things has been a bit of a phenomenon. Some might argue it's been the hit of the year across all size screens. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. What did you guys think?
I mostly really enjoyed it.
Oh.
Mostly?
Controversial Ian.
No. I don't want to be lynched by the Stranger Things crew. I did enjoy it very much, but it made me dig out some old movies and rewatch them. Like, there's a movie called Watchers.
Oh, yeah.
It's got Michael Ironside in it. Of course it has. It's a movie from the 80s.
Does he lose his arm in it, though? That is the question.
I don't know. I don't think
it involves a dog.
It does involve a dog, yeah. And it's got, I'm pretty sure it's got one of the Coreys in it.
Oh, wow.
Corey Haim.
Yeah. And it kind of reminded me of that, and I like that. The new stuff that we get in is great, mostly. I'm sure we'll come onto that next week, or as we discussed last week.
Yeah.
But it was good to I felt like I was a kid again, to be honest. Absolutely felt like I was a kid again. And I didn't feel patronised. It didn't feel like I know you've got a bit of a problem with Big Bang Theory because you don't know if they're shaking your hand while they're taking the piss or if they're just throwing poo at you. But I thought this was it was done by people who appreciated that and not just trying to make a quick buck. No doubt there will be a ton of rip-offs over the coming months, years, where it's just, let's do another 80s themed thing.
Yeah.
As well as a sequel to the series that they've said they're going to do.
Or a prequel?
I don't know. Well,
Could
I mean,
be.
we should probably establish what it is. I mean, if you haven't heard of it, it's Netflix's new show. It's 8 episodes, and it's set in the 80s. A boy goes missing, and it kind of follows various generations in this small town trying to find out where he went, and all sort of revolves around that. So yeah, they're saying that their approach is, if they do a second series, and Netflix have kind of said it would kind of be stupid not to, based on the success of the first one. So it would be a sequel, and it wouldn't be, because there was some discussion about, is this like an anthology show? Like, would they do this again and it would be set somewhere else with different characters? But I think they want to carry it on, because they did kind of leave a few threads hanging with this one. So, yeah, is that what you want? Do you want to see where it goes next?
I think so. Yeah.
I think the way it ends, we'll get into that.
Spoilers, by the way.
But before we go into that, I think the way it ended was pretty good. It kind of, it reminded me of a good episode of the X-Files, in which there are a lot of unanswered questions. Yep. Some of the things that happen, like the chief getting into that car, and then afterwards you see him again, and you're kind of like, well, what happened between there and then? I jokingly said that he had his parameters reset as a character, so he won't be so overpowered. But
he did kick some butt. Definitely.
He was insane. It was just like everyone else. I love how everyone else was very almost a Simpsons parody of being a police officer, and he was this. No, I'm going to go in. I'm going to go in and ask some hard questions straight away. But I would love to know more about the research laboratory, which obviously they're going to go for. Whether this next series is both a prequel and a sequel. I really hope they don't go the whole thing of a dual storyline, which everyone seems to be doing. You know, the sort of Lost sort of thing where they show the past and the future. And the present.
Yeah, well, they do kind of do that a bit when they go into the backstory of 11 and stuff.
Yeah, but not as tedious as that kind of like, you know, it's like, oh, this is the whole section of that, and it pulls you out of it. It kind of seemed to flow really well the way they did it. And I want to see more of it. I love the fact that it reminded me of another 80s thing, Akira.
Oh, really? In what way?
Well, you've got a girl in a research laboratory developing psychic powers, which was the premise of the entire thing. Yeah. And it was just the way... I half expected the giant teddy bear to start attacking her, and then she'd destroy it, and in return to made out of Lego. It really made me think they could do something like that on that scale. Because this was just written so well. Winona Ryder, I really was quite knocked off with her at times, but only because she was playing that character so well. You were like,
she was quite hysterical.
Are you still in the house? Run! You know?
Yeah, but I think the casting was excellent, especially the girl who plays 11. She was just immediately adorable, like, and just so, like, just cool. All the kids are great, and I love some of the visuals, like with the lights in the house and stuff. It just looks so like reminiscent of, like, I don't know, E.T. and stuff.
Even
like
80s Christmases, because the light bulbs were insane then. If you remember, that's what it reminded me of. It reminded me of how things were back then. Just the clothing, the textiles, the objects like the bikes. Even though I didn't grow up in a small, you know, Canadian-looking town, it. You know what I mean? There's like trees and forests and everything else, you know, whereas I had car parks, estates, you know, round the corners and adventure parks. But it made me feel like I was back there again. And even just the opening, I think I only skipped the opening bit once.
I loved it. The music was just totally John Carpenter, like, awesome. I think they've actually released a soundtrack album of it now. I can imagine that's going to be pumping away in clubs for quite some time.
I hope it's on cassette tape.
I thought it evoked Spielberg, it evoked John Carpenter, and it just reminded me of, like, it had that kind of sense of adventure and fun that, like, E.T. and Goonies had, and I totally marathoned it pretty much. I finished it in a few days once I got stuck into it. I think by episode 3 I was proper hooked. And there's only 8, so, you know, it didn't drag on. I think some people said that it felt a bit long, but I thought it was just right. Normally Netflix stuff goes on for, like, much longer than that. So
no, I thought it was brilliant. I do love the there's a weird little thing that started out of it. Barbara became the surprise hit of the show, and the internet sort of took her to heart, and everyone said, oh, you can either be a Barbara or you could be I can't remember the name of the other girl, it escapes me now. I don't know. Nancy, that was it, yeah. It's like, don't be a Nancy, don't bow to peer pressure and follow and all that. Be a Barbara. She had her own sense of style and priorities and all that sort of thing. Even though I was left going, what about Barbara? They just kind of left her there.
Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate for her, wasn't
even
it?
when they found, even when the episode when they found her, where they went into the astral plane, as I call it, or whatever, and they're
the upside down.
Yeah. Well, it was I reckon that's not even the upside down where 11 goes. I reckon that's the side, hence the flea analogy.
Oh, right.
I reckon she's travelling along the side of the rope at that point because she's intersecting between the two worlds, but she isn't in one or the other. But then I found it really weird that it's like they found Barbara and it was like, oh my God, Barbara. So let's carry on looking for the kid. Okay, Barbara's gone.
That whole explanation I found very Donnie Darko style. Like the way that was all explained by the teacher and stuff.
Yeah.
But there was lots of homages to lots of good stuff.
It was good.
I think that was it, you know. I think so. Looking forward to more of that.
Yeah, I think it, like you said, it reminded me of E.T. and Goonies and all that, but with a sense of danger that you get from shows nowadays. Because nowadays, you know, we're in the world of post Game of Thrones or whatever, danger is danger. There's a real chance that any one of those kids could die by getting shot by a government agent. And the thing is, you know, it's not like in the 80s where you think, oh, it'll be all right. It's like the 80s, but real, as opposed to a TV fantasy.
And also, I was quite surprised with the fact that Nancy ended up going with the jock and not Jonathan, who was like
Nancy.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't be a Nancy. I mean, I thought that was surprising because after everything they went through, you'd have thought they would have hooked up at the end, but no, she went back to the douche. Although I suppose he redeemed himself at the end, getting involved with it a bit. But yeah, I don't know. It was cool. It wasn't as predictable as you might have thought it might have been. So cool. All right. Shall we move on?
Yep.
Cool. Has anyone been watching Mr. Robot?
No.
I haven't got around to it yet. I really intended to, but this week's just been so much. I think I'm probably going to watch a few episodes of it. Soon.
They're up to 5 now.
Oh, brilliant. Cool.
Yeah, well, actually 6, I think, was last night. But yeah, you'd pretty much checked out by the end of season 1, hadn't you, Ian? Or did you?
I didn't make the end of it. I've got another 2 weeks off coming up, so I'll add that to my list of things to watch.
Yeah, it's pretty much the only thing I'm watching right now. Everything else is finished. But yeah, it's been a bit slow. I mean, I won't go into too much detail because there were some revelations at the end of season 1 that I won't discuss. But let's just say season 2 starts with kind of dealing with the fallout of that, and it's only really like, I mean, I was sort of flagging a bit like, where is this going? But episode 4 and 5 kind of kicks into gear a bit. 5 especially, there's some shocking moments at the end that I really wasn't expecting. I think it's really well made. It's up for Emmys. I think it's going to win a few, to be honest. I was looking at some of the categories, especially for like best actor and stuff, and Rami Malek, who's the main dude, is really quite awesome in that, as is Christian Slater. But the other notable thing about this season is that the creator of the show has written and is directing every episode of it.
Okay, that's cool.
Oh, wow.
At least it's got some integrity going on. I think the actual depiction of the hacking is still fairly authentic compared to other sorts of things that you see on TV. 24.
And Jason Bourne.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, we'll get to that.
Well, that's the thing. You can't be too realistic because otherwise you become an advert and you kind of give away little bits, isn't it? It's like whenever you
but it does. Yeah. Sorry, finish your thought.
No, I was saying it's like the old cliche of whenever you see terrorists putting a bomb together and they're weighing materials.
Oh, God. We'll sit and wait for the NSA to swoop in on your house now, Marcus. Hello, everyone. That wasn't me. I don't want to...
No, I just think it...
What, the National Schools Association? What are you on about, Ian? I'm a card-carrying member.
It's the Not Sulky Association, I think.
Yeah. No, I think what you're trying to get at is the fact that it does for, like, sort of hacking what Breaking Bad did for cooking meth. It tries to make it look interesting and actually not entirely unrealistic, and you kind of get what they're doing, and it's cool.
I would just like to point out, if anybody is in doubt, they are very different things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but equally illegal. So yeah.
But coding is not illegal and well worth a career choice.
Yep. Although I have noticed lately, due to my workload, my expression has matched the main star of Mr. Robot. I caught my reflection in my Mac, and I was like, "Oh dear."
I'm sure you will return to your regular expression eventually.
Yeah, well, I'm smiling now.
Nerdy joke for you, everyone.
I got that. Cool. All right. Well, I won't go into too much more detail on that because certain people aren't caught up on it, so I don't want to spoil it because it's a show that can be easily spoiled. I wanted to ask you, Marcus. I caught you watching Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah,
the other week.
I've got hold of a few episodes and stuff, and I've really been enjoying it. I think I've done season 1, and almost. I think I'm an episode left or something. I'm really loving it. I did start watching it before, and then the Wookiees kind of threw me off because they were partly in that weird style. Yeah. And I was hoping
they don't do hair very well.
No, they don't do hair at all. They look like Lego Wookiees.
Yeah,
and I kind of was a bit like, oh, that's a bit weird. But then you get like little things like the joke at the end where the stormtrooper's going, "Is that your first Jedi, sir?" And then he kicks him in the head and the stormtrooper falls to his death. And the fact that people actually die in this was essentially a Disney cartoon. I was quite taken aback. When blasters hit, the person doesn't get up.
It's like it's like a double dose of Saturday morning cartoon fever, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's that was kind of when I was watching it.
That's when I kind of marathoned it. I got up and I was like, feeling like a 10-year-old again. I was like watching Star Wars Rebels, and I was tempted
2 seasons
to get some cereal. I was just like,
yeah. They're easy. I think I went through over Christmas and caught up on a bunch of them. Just sat in bed basically and just played Hearthstone and watched about 8 of them. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It definitely evokes the old proper Star Wars feel. It's got some cool little cameos from people.
Lando Calrissian
shows up. Darth Maul shows up. Vader shows up.
Yeah,
and
we had Lando
cool.
Calrissian turn up. That was brilliant.
Voiced by Billy D. Yeah,
it was just little things like the music and stuff that adds to the authenticity. It's actual bits of score and stuff and little things in there, and you just think, oh, it's Star Wars. It's that sort of feeling you got watching The Force Awakens.
Absolutely, and it also looks because it was Star Wars Celebration the other week, and it looks like they're going to be using Rebels to kind of appease some of the fans who were a bit pissed off that when Disney bought Lucasfilm, they sort of dissolved all the expanded universe.
Yeah.
And so, as a nod to that, Grand Admiral Thrawn, who was a big character in the Heir to the Empire series by Timothy Zahn, or Zane, I don't know how you say it. He's going to be in the next season of Star Wars Rebels, which is pretty cool. Oh, wow. I just totally had a massive geek out when I heard about this because I thought they'd rubbished it all off, like all that stuff.
It kind of makes sense. If you're Disney and you own Star Wars, you own all of it. Expanded universe or not, because it's still, even when they say it's not canon, it's still the licensed material. People are writing it under Star Wars using the logo, the world, characters, everything. So you've automatically got a right to all of those assets. So you could just rewrite the expanded universe, which they seem to be doing,
or just cherry pick all the
big
cool
chunks
bits
of it. Yeah, definitely. Just like change little bits.
Admiral Thrawn was kind of the big. He was like a former stormtrooper, went through the ranks, and he was like the new kind of big bad in those books that kind of took place after. That arguably could have still happened if you wanted to make them canon in your mind, because Force Awakens takes place so much later. But yeah, no, I thought that was pretty cool. While we're talking about cartoons, I just finished this week the latest season of Bojack Horseman, which sounds like a mad concept. I think I've mentioned it on here before. It's Will Arnett voices this talk. It's a horse, yeah, but it's basically like Entourage, but if animals are like humans, you know, living side by side, and they, you know, they're anthropomorphized and everything in really funny ways. And so he's playing this horse who used to be on a like a sort of show called Horsing Around in the 90s, and he's a bit disenfranchised. And where we meet him in season 3 is that he's made this film, and now he's searching for an Oscar, or trying to get the Oscar, and sort of dealing with all that shit. And it's quite funny, but it's actually quite it's quite deep, like some of the shit they go into, like it sort of handles depression and all kinds of heavy topics like that. So but it's really funny though, like some of the sort of stuff that's going on, like around the edges of the frame. Like you'll see, like they're at a party and there's a snake dude wearing a suit, as they do, and like there's a cake on the table and he'll like take a bite of it, and like the cake will like be his entire face, and then it'll cut to him again and it'll be halfway down his neck. And you have to watch it really, but there's just little things like that sort of stand out, and it's just really, really well put together. And it's on Netflix and it's on its 3rd season, and so yeah, it's worth checking out if you want something. It on the surface it looks like Netflix's attempt at doing something like Family Guy, but I think there's quite a bit more to it than that.
Do you think it's similar to another series called Archer or something in that sort of...
I've not seen Archer.
I've not actually seen it either, but I hear it's kind of like a weird, almost satirical, slightly strange, slightly surreal.
Yeah, they've made shitloads of that, and it keeps coming up. Every time I finish a season of Bojack, it always comes up as the thing I should watch next. So, yeah, I'm going to get to it eventually. They just keep putting too much shit on there. I'm watching bloody Star Trek now, like the old 60s show I've got round to now. I thought I'd give it a go. It's actually aged pretty well.
Yeah.
Although I think, to be honest, they've redone a lot of the external ship shots. They didn't look like... They look really good now.
Yeah.
Like, proper good. Cool. So, has anyone been watching anything else?
So, I've had another 2 weeks off the week before this one started. As I've got a lot of holiday I need to take. I rewatched Newsroom.
Oh, the Newsroom. You rewatched it all?
Yeah, because it is still one of my favourite TV shows, and I know it's a bit schmaltzy, and we've talked about it before, but it's just awesome. Cannot recommend it enough. Also been, and this might be discussion for a separate thing, I've been contemplating rewatching all of Lost.
Oh,
okay.
And
Interesting.
I can't remember why. I don't know how I started going, oh, maybe I should watch some Lost, or just rewatch Lost. I think I probably found one of the blooper reels on YouTube, or it popped up in recommended or something.
And you were like, I really miss those guys.
And I do. I think I do. I think I want to give it a go. Or one of the actors turned up in something, and I thought, I wonder what the rest of the Lost guys are doing. Yeah.
Nice.
So I may give that a go, or at least the first couple of seasons.
You're giving me ideas for another podcast now.
What, best retro... Well, it's not even retro, is it? It was only like 10 years ago.
No, well, like someone did one for X-Files, didn't they? And
Yeah.
they went through and they did a podcast for each episode, because they were just watching like one a week, and then
You know, it was only 6 years ago that Lost finished.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, 2010 it finished.
Good grief.
wow, it feels like longer than
It's
that.
mad, isn't it? It's absolutely mad.
I still haven't finished it.
Yet when people tell me 2007 was nearly 10 years ago, I
was.
feel like that was last year.
Yep.
You know, that was last year. What the fuck?
Yeah.
There weren't even smartphones then. I've been
Yeah,
having
there
this
were.
crisis. No, I started my job 10 years ago.
Oh, right,
I've been
okay.
having this, and there's been episodes in Bojack Horseman where they go back to 2007, and I'm like, fuck yeah, that was a long time ago.
That was a dark
but-
time.
Yeah. Yeah, we were midway through Lost.
The other thing... Have I spoken about Flash on here? Did I do that in the last one?
The Flash?
We
I think we
haven't since
briefly
you saw
mentioned.
the Kevin Smith episode.
Oh, right, okay. So I've caught up with Flash. Oh, I'm loving it. I know it's not TV that's going to be... You know what I'm saying.
I think they're doing well. I agree with you, Ian.
It has become very formulaic, and I know a lot of people say... There was a discussion on Reddit today about House, and...
Oh, yeah.
Our television sub is a great one if you're not part of it. It's a good place to get new stuff. It's a good place to discuss.
I think I am on there.
But part of the conversation was formulaic TV is a bad thing, or is a thing to be frowned upon or sneered at. And I find that, well, first of all, personal choice. Fuck off. I'll watch what I like. But second of all, it's also comfortable for people to see the same characters again and again doing the same thing. Because I think if we're all honest, when we go out and see our mates, it's the same people doing the same thing again and again. And I'm not disparaging anybody's life choices or how much you drink or blah or anything of that. But that's the reason I loved Castle. It's the reason I think it's the reason a lot of people like Lost. And it's the reason I like The Flash. And it's the reason I'm a bit partial to Supergirl as well.
I've just started that.
It's a little bit more cheesy, but there's been some fantastic in-jokes with that, which... if you just started that, I'm not going to spoil for you.
Yeah, no, it's good, it's cool.
But just throw away one-liners. They've from the boss played by the actress who played Ally McBeal.
Callista Flockhart.
Yes. Can I do this? It's not a spoiler. It's just a...
No, go for it, mate. Go for it.
It goes... there's a crossover with The Flash later in the season.
Yeah.
Because they're now on the same network.
No, they're not. In the Well, there's two...
Oh, really?
Yeah,
so that was before that?
So there's two in-jokes in that episode, I think, that made me think that I've enjoyed that you've done that. The first one was her saying to Supergirl's alter ego and the rest of the team, "Why are you standing there? You look like a beautiful people from a show on the CW." When they are now on the CW.
Yeah, that's...
And the second one was,
funny.
somebody said she had a call, this is Callista Flockhart, and she was saying, "Tell Harrison Ford I'm not going to take his calls, and I'm not going to go out for dinner with him, especially when he's married." And she's married to Harrison Ford, which I thought that was just hilarious.
That is cool.
There is some quite... I think in both of them, it's really hammy a lot of the time, and... but both of them remind me of The Adventures of Lois and Clark, which some of you may or may not remember from
definitely.
Whatever it was, the 90s or the early 2000s with... What's
Dean
his name?
Cain and Terry Hatcher.
Henry Cavill's dad from the Superman flicks.
Dean Cain?
No, is that Kevin Costner? Who's...
Yeah, Kevin Costner was...
turned up as... He's Supergirl's dad, right?
I'm getting confused.
Dean Cain is Supergirl's dad.
Yeah.
Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher, they were the pairing in that.
But Dean Cain has subsequently turned up in one of those in-joke type things. Like The Flash has the Flash from the 90s series as his dad, which is wonderful. All of that stuff is a guilty pleasure. I've got a multiple monitor system when if I'm working or doing something else, I'll put that on another screen, listen to it. They can drone through the exposition and stuff, but when there's something cool happening, I just watch it. It's background stuff. Do you know what I found what these shows are? And I mean, for ages I've struggled to explain why I'm watching them. And I've suddenly realised as you were saying that, they remind me of the old Saturday mid-afternoon, Knight Rider, A-Team. Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
That's exactly what these shows are. They're the modern superhero equivalent of those. It's cheesy, it's fun, there's some danger, you know they will win, but also because we're in an age now where things can happen, they can shock you, kill off characters, do this, do that as well, because we're used to it. Yeah,
and I'm a comic book and graphic novel fan, but they are comic book and graphic novel source material.
Yeah.
I know they've done, or they're going to do Luke Cage, and they've done Jessica Jones and Daredevil, and those have been a slightly more mature approach to these. But they are all just comic book, pure escapism stuff. I suppose Jessica Jones was a little darker. But they are throwaway things. They are not, you won't watch these and go, right, I've discovered how to fix all the poverty in the world or something. It's just pure Saturday evening entertainment that I used to watch with my dad at the weekend. We'd watch Lois and Clark, and then we go and do something else. It reminds me of all of that. And there's been a lot of great TV over the last 10 plus years, but a lot of it has tried some of the aping of movies that they have done is not always good, wholesome family fun, and they're good throwaway things. They're just yeah.
Well, I think the reason that you've kind of got that gulf in quality, I suppose, is because what's happening is that a lot of the talent that was going into making like smaller indie movies has had to go to TV because the studios just aren't financing those kind of movies anymore, and that's why those ideas, and that's where Netflix have kind of found their angle, and they've massively doubled down on that, and that's why they do what they do.
Yeah, and that's a great thing. That's a really good thing. Yeah,
and I guess that's the problem with me is that I've been ruined by it, and the time I would spend watching stuff like The Flash, I would rather spend playing video games or going to the pub.
Get two monitors, mate. Then you can do both.
But that might be. But the thing is, that might be an evolution. That might just be an evolution or a change in your tastes. It's like I find now that I watch more TV shows than I do playing video games, where it used to be the other way around. I used to do a hell of a lot more gaming.
Yeah, I am finding the same actually.
And I never used to watch that many shows. I used to watch the occasional ones, like maybe a couple of shows in a week. And I used to wait weekly for them to come on, like X-Files, a few other ones. But I'd spend a lot of the other time playing through RPGs, beat-em-ups, arcade races.
But Marcus, is that the availability of the, in quotes, box set?
No, I think it's more...
You can binge stuff, or
I think it's
is
more,
it just the choice is better?
I think it's more to what I find appeals to me. Just something just resonates with you, and you just think, I feel like doing this more. Because I left Flash for a while, and then I sort of binged it, and I've caught up, and I watched it all the way through I'm caught up to current now.
Right.
And I really enjoyed it. I said to myself, why have I stopped watching this? Some of the quips, the jokes, everything else. You just think it's comfortable. Put it on your favourite jacket.
I just like the people. Yeah. I know they're doing whatever it is, fucking Sharkman. I was in absolute hysterics at Sharkman.
That was brilliant. But the thing is, they knew it because they looked at it and went, come on, really?
I thought he would have a tornado as a special power or something just to make it completely ridiculous. But I like the people involved in the show. I like his dad. I like his other dad. I like, I just like the characters.
Yeah.
Is this Flash?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. And
cool.
For most of Supergirl as well, there are some really annoying... Not really annoying, they're well acted and good actors and stuff, but there was certainly a period of Supergirl where I thought... That's a weird expression. Where I thought... I need to step away from this now because it's just gone too silly.
Yeah,
but it sorted itself out by the end. So,
but then I was just thinking. Actually, the only movie or real world example of Supergirl is extremely, extremely silly, and it was that old '80s movie
with Peter Cook.
Yeah.
Looking back, but I can't remember. It was so ridiculous. They created like a castle in the middle of a street in some Vancouver town.
Wasn't that Helen Slater and some like Meryl? It wasn't Meryl Streep. It was
someone like that. Yeah,
an extremely famous actress as they were at the time.
But it was ridiculous. It was utterly preposterous. But I'm amazed that's the only example that we've got, considering how long the character's been going.
Faye Dunaway.
Oh,
but
wow.
Yeah, but I mean, there's potentially an argument that says since Reeve passed and those movies, rest his soul and stuff. But the fourth one was not good.
Oh no.
This argument is the third wasn't great either. Yeah. But since that's kind of become a thing that hasn't really been touched. I know there was the Bryan Singer Superman. Whenever that was, but that didn't really go down too well. So maybe they just thought these bigger DC characters that aren't in Gotham and driving a cool car are just people don't really want to have there's no appeal for the masses.
Yeah.
We're gonna get another Flash though, who's already been cast, but we'll talk about that later. Ezra Miller, Justice League.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, cool. Yeah, no, good points all round. And you don't have to justify why you watch these shows. If you enjoy these shows, then
we would have lost 15 minutes of podcast if we hadn't discussed it. I've watched this.
No, it's totally
all right,
cool.
Thanks, mate. See you next time.
No, it's cool.
Yeah.
I just wanted to quickly mention the end of Preacher. Have you got there yet, Ian? Did you give up?
No, I haven't given up yet. It's mainly time at the moment.
Yeah.
Or doing other things at the moment. No, I'm sticking with it. It's good. I'm enjoying it.
Cool. I won't spoil anything. But, aside from the fact that it ends where we all wanted it to end, which is where the comic begins, pretty much. So.
Okay.
And if you haven't read the comic, that's not a spoiler. So.
Cool. The only other thing I wanted to mention was there's a series in the States on HBO called The Night Of.
Yeah, I almost brought this up as that this is the one show that I am kind of avoiding because I've heard it's excellent, but I don't know. Go on, tell me why I should watch it.
Because of John Turturro, if I'm pronouncing his name. Well, first of all, I know we talked about last week or next week, Jason Bourne, but there's in the recent movie flop, hopefully, called Jason Bourne, one of the characters, like the Patsy character, a tech guy, is played by this actor, and he's the lead actor in The Night Of.
Right.
And if I'd watched it the other way round, I may not have watched The Night Of. If a friend of mine had watched it the other way round, I would have. He may not have watched it. Oh, for fuck's sake! But he's great. The story's great. It's a real slow burner, but the quality of the visuals along the way is. It's like when it's finished, it's going to be like one massive movie.
It's like True Detective.
And that's the best thing I can compare it to. I know a lot of people don't like the second season, but I love the second season. But this is much more like the first season. I'm fairly sure that one of the episodes recently, it was about 25 minutes of him being taken to prison in a van. And that's all it was. There was other little bits going off, but the main thing that was happening was just him being driven to prison. That's what it felt like, because it was so beautifully shot. And it just felt like a TV show that they've got all the bits right. I don't know, it's based on a BBC show from a few years ago called Criminal Intent, I don't know, there's a Google there I can't be asked to do. I'll have to do it.
It's alright. No, I've seen it, it's riding high at the top of Metacritic at the moment, but I'm watching all the other shows on that list.
Yeah, Criminal Justice is based on.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
So, what I would recommend is you binge it when it's available all at once.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, because this is the problem, and I was almost going to lead into that, which is why I have tried to avoid watching like a lot of the shows you've mentioned. Is because while I know I would probably get something out of them, I've got so into this routine of Netflix going.
Yeah.
And just dropping like 13 episodes on me that I'm like nervously waiting for the next one to drop.
And that's the box set mentality, isn't it? And I have it as well. I'd rather discuss stuff, talk about it, see it when I can, or get the DVD or the actual physical box set when it's available.
Yeah.
And just sit in front of a TV for a day and watch stuff.
Yeah, how far are they through?
Because then you choose your point of stopping. You can kind of like, you'll just go, oh, I can't leave it there. I've got to watch the next one and the next one, next one. And then when it slows down, you kind of think, well, this seems like a nice time to take a little break or whatever, and you might come back tomorrow.
Yeah, and I know it's feeding the addictive personality and stuff, but it's not harmful. It's probably, I'm becoming more of a potato shape on the couch. But I find my brain is refreshed, or I just can turn my head off. And when you're busy at work and you've got like stresses in your life, like everybody has, just sitting there and vegging is great. And that's what the TV. One of the things the TV is there for. So why the hell not? You mentioned earlier that Stranger Things was directed by the same person? Or was that the next?
No, it was Mr. Robot.
Oh, Mr. Robot.
But Stranger Things is also done by the Duffer Brothers.
Yeah,
although I think
that's awesome.
Yeah, they've got different writers, but it's created by them and they've directed it all. So,
The Night Of is directed by the same guy, apart from one episode, and the screenplay is by the same guy, with the last 4 by the director, which is great. Steve Turturro, if I'm saying his name right. Sorry, John Turturro. Did I say John Turturro last time?
Yeah, John Turturro.
Yeah, you got it right the first time.
John Turturro as the lawyer is... I've always been a fan of him, but much more so now. He's going to win stuff for this, definitely.
He was great in Transformers.
I would agree with that. Don't you mock the Transformers. I love the first one. That's definitely on my guilty pleasure list.
The first one wasn't too bad, to be fair.
It's a movie about talking robots that transform into cars. What are you expecting? Really, what are you expecting? And it's by Michael Bay. It's got the holy trinity of this is not going to be Shakespeare or, winning Emmys for performance.
No.
Jesus, or Oscars. So when that's available, binge it. It's definitely... I want to get the Blu-ray and get, all the behind-the-scenes stuff and see how it's done, because it's just awesome. Just awesome.
I've been resisting it all the times I've heard about it until now. It's all on its way.
Yeah, so episode 5's done, so 8 should be done soon, so I'm sure it will drop on a number of other streaming services apart from HBO, and the Blu-ray and DVD will be available shortly after.
Brilliant.
It's probably on Sky Atlantic, I would imagine. That's where a lot of the HBO stuff goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, episode 8 airs on the 28th of this month, August. Oh, wow. So, yeah, it's all going to be wrapped up fairly soon. So, cool. Brilliant. All right, then. This has been the Not Watching Podcast in partnership with notlistening.co.uk, where you can also hear myself and Ian talk about video games and virtual reality on the Not Playing Podcast, and Adam, Ash and Will talk about all manner of funny things on the Not Listening Podcast. They've actually just released a new episode and are planning on releasing more, so they are actually on the case, but apparently Adam's laptop broke. That's the reason they've been gone for months.
Okay.
Anyway. You can email us at notwatchingpodcast@gmail.com, or you can tweet out or follow us on Twitter at notwatchingpod. You can find the show notes for this show at notlistening.co.uk, and if you're listening to us on iTunes, please do give us a review. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for listening. See ya!
Live long and prosper.
Ojo!
Ojo!